Hey guys, welcome back to the next podcast. Last week we talked a lot about different restaurants, and we did touch on people ordering bottles of wine or champagne at a restaurant. So today we really want to dive into how that works for Robert and Sammy, who may not know about that at restaurants, because I'm sure you've not ordered a bottle.
I have not.
I've also not ordered a bottle as well, but I've had to do it before. And both me and Jasmine work at restaurants that do open bottles, but I think we have two different
very
ways.
different.
So Jasmine, why don't we talk about what bottle service is though first? So bottle service essentially could mean two kind of different things. Bottle service in like a night out clubbing experience would almost be like you have like bottle service, like most of the time they're female and they're like literally in like bikinis or whatever. And then they have like a bottle of it's normally champagne because champagne's like very celebratory. So I'll have like champagne with like little fire sticks coming out of it. Sparklers. And then they'll walk it over in the club. Basically in a club setting, it's more seen as like a status symbol. Like, oh, I'm getting bottles of like Dom, which is like $400 a bottle. And so they'll like, if they have a special guest, they'll have like a little sign thing that'll say like, welcome to this club, like welcome to Havana.
Or if it's your birthday, it may say happy birthday or whatever.
And so that's what bottle service means there, essentially, is bottle service is the same as wine service, but like wine service is not the same as bottle service. So it's normally used as wine service at a table, at a restaurant, versus bottle service at like a club is going to be like bottles of champagne, but it's more seen as a status symbol of like, look, I'm ordering like 4 bottles of champagne. They bring it over. I don't really know what they do at the table. Probably nothing super fancy. The whole point of it is so everyone sees
that you ordered
bottles. And especially what bottle that is.
Yes.
Everyone knows what a bottle of Dom Perignon. How do you pronounce it? Perignon.
I believe. Not sure. Don't quote me.
Perignon. Everyone knows what Dom Perignon looks like. So when they bring it over, everyone's like, oh, wow, like they have money.
Yeah.
And they're normally in their own little section at the club. Like you get bottle service.
Yeah.
Now, wine service is different because you don't you don't order bottles of like vodka at a table. Like, I guess you could. Like, it would be weird. Yeah, it'd be weird to order. I mean, I'm sure like if we had a very rare like liquor that someone was like, I will purchase the bottle. I am sure with the right amount of money, you could, like we have Clase Azul tequila. So if someone was like, it's not rare though. That's the thing. Like it would have to be rare, but we have like Pappy. Do you know Pappy? Like Pappy Van Winkle? No. Pappy Van Winkle is like a very, very, I know.
An old man.
It's an old man type of drink. It's like a very, very fancy, I think whiskey or bourbon or something. And it's like, it can go anywhere from $1,000 to like $10,000 for a bottle. So, right. But it's because it's very, very rare.
Do you guys know, sorry to interrupt, do you guys know like why stuff goes from one price to the next price?
No.
So, yep.
Basically,
it's aged.
Okay.
That's So the longer that it is aged, the more the price will go.
So if it's like an expensive brand, is that because there's the wines that they sell are older typically? Like why?
I mean, it is.
Okay.
It's just in their quality for the brand. But the more expensive it is, the longer it is aged.
But also you have to think of like, I mean, it's the same thing with like wine, with clothes, with anything. Like the more rare the item is, the more expensive it's going to be. And also, so say like their standard price for a bottle of Cabernet would be like $100. Like not in cheap wine by any means, but not crazy expensive. Like that's a pretty normal price for like if you're going to go out to a restaurant. But as people really start to like it, the restaurant will look at like, okay, or like the brand Opus One, for example, or Screaming Eagle, which is the one that we have, like they will look at it and be like, okay, people really, really like this wine. Let's literally only produce like 500 bottles. That's it. We're only getting, and so you already have people who like it. So as soon as you cut back, same thing with like, if right now Nike was like, we are stopping the production of Air Forces, the price for Air Forces would go way up. Sure. Thus then giving the brand a very like if Nike literally was like, we're going to like produce only this amount of everything, then Nike would now be seen as a very, very high-end luxury brand because it's so rare. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing with like wines. So like, that's why if you were to buy, like we have Lebanese wines because we're a Persian restaurant, and literally like a bottle of, I think it's called Chateau Moussard, like whatever, but it'll be Chateau Moussard like 2019, Chateau Moussard 2017, Chateau Moussard, like so on and so forth. And a bottle from like 2021 would be like $300, but a bottle from like 1998 would be like 2,000, just because it's aged so long. Mm-hmm. And and that means like it was corked, like no one has touched that wine, has not been exposed to the air since before we were born. Exactly. So that's why it's so rare. But back to bottle service. How do you do wine service at a table? Come on. I know this.
It's nothing really special. I just take my guests out their glasses and then I take the wine out. I don't even pour the wine for them. We're not like made to pour the wine for them. I mean, I sometimes ask my guests would they like it poured, but...
Do you open it at the table?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you like do the whole thing where you like hold it at the table and like have to hold the label or no? Or you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
See, that's what, but the thing is like, yeah, there's a whole thing. Mm-hmm. Mine is not super fancy. There's like way fancier ways to do it.
Mine's definitely not fancy at all.
But also like, what's like the most expensive bottle that you guys have?
I wouldn't say we don't have an expensive bottle of wine really. All of our wines are kind of on the cheaper end because we're not really...
Not like a super fancy, crazy thing. Right.
Yeah, and then most of the people that come into our restaurants, they don't order wine. They order cocktails.
Yeah.
So it's not like...
But would you say you're fine dining or no? Yeah, so see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
If you're not upscale or fine dining, there's no point investing in bottles of wine.
Yeah.
No one's going to come to that restaurant for... Same reason why like you wouldn't come to my restaurant for like cheap, like little, like tiny... Like you're not going to come to my restaurant for cheap shit. Where it's going to be expensive, and you know that. Mm-hmm. But the way that you do, I'm moving this here. Okay. So where I work, with the way that we do wine service is so someone would order a bottle. So we have like, there's by the glass and by the bottle. You can do all of our by the glass wines by the bottle, but you can't do all of our by the bottles by the glass. Do you only have by the glass?
No.
Okay, so you have like separate bottles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See, like that's a step up. Because some restaurants don't even have like, they only have by the glass, which normally by the glass is not going to be as expensive.
Yeah.
In the sense that like someone's going to order like our most expensive by the glass wine is $28 a glass. But the bottle itself, if you want to order it, is like $110, I think, for a bottle of it. But then there's also like really, really fancy wines, of course. But the way that we're supposed to do it is so someone orders it, then, and you have to keep that in mind of like who ordered the wine. Then you bring over, then I always ask like how many people are drinking the wine. Because if there's like 5 people at the table and there's only 2 people who are going to split a bottle, that's fine. I only bring over 2 wine glasses.
Right.
At a fancier restaurant, I'm sure that they bring over the wine glass that's coordinated with that specific type of wine, but we don't because we're not that fancy. Then I go and I grab the bottle. Normally I have to go get a manager to like open up the case because it's normally like a freaking $200 bottle of wine or whatever. And then you grab a like black, they call it a serviette, but it's just like a towel, basically, not like a napkin, basically on your arm that you're holding the bottle in. Then you bring over the wine to the table with a label facing the guest who ordered it. So if it's you 3, and you ordered it, I would go up to you and you're supposed to say, I never do because I never know how to pronounce them, but you're supposed to say like it's like the name, the varietal, and the where it's from. So you would be like, this is your blank 2019 from Napa Valley, whatever. Yeah. Then that's to confirm. The formality of that is to confirm like, hey, you know that this is to confirm that is this the bottle of wine that you ordered before I go ahead and open it. Because it's happened before where I show them and like, oh, I ordered the 2017. Okay, great. That's fine. Now I'll go get you the 2017. So then once they confirm it, then you are supposed to grab the bottle like by the neck of the bottle. You take a wine key. Also, this is all the while the label's facing the guest. The label always has to face the guest at all times who ordered it. Then you like cut underneath it's hard to explain without an actual like wine key, but you basically
It's
cut
like a small knife.
Right. It's like a tiny, it has like a corkscrew on it, has a knife, and it has the actual like lever to pull the cork out of the bottle. But you cut underneath, like right where because you know how it has the label like over the cork? You have to take that part off. So you cut that part like you're supposed to cut it like once around the front, once around the back, and then lift it up. So it just pulls it all off in one piece. And then you just tuck it. I tuck mine into like my apron, whatever. Then you corkscrew it, and you're supposed to and all the while you're still holding the bottle with the label facing the guest. So the bottle can't be like turning or whatever. That's why you're doing all that. Then I put the cork the corkscrew inside of the cork, twist it like 8 times. I think there's we don't do that specific, but there's some ways where you're only supposed to twist it a certain amount of times. Then you hook the lever on the side of the bottle and then lift up once and then do it one more time and lift up again. It's not supposed to have a popping sound. So you don't want to pull it out and have a popping sound. At least that's like our restaurant policy. If they open if you order champagne, you're not even supposed to have it have a popping sound. Like, you know how you like normally like it pops. We have to open champagne a different way. And like, we have to like hold the bottle and like hold the cork down and like almost twist the bottle just enough to where you can hear a tight little like out of the thing, and that's it. Like, you should not hear any pop when you open champagne.
So if it does pop, what happens?
Nothing bad. It's just like it's less classy to a guest who's ordering it. If they're getting champagne, normally people who get champagne it's more of a celebratory thing, but like we don't do the whole like bottle pop and whatever, because anyways. But then you open the wine. Then now you have the cork out of the wine. You put the cork and the wine key. Normally, I don't ever do this, but at really, really fancy restaurants, you then, like while you're holding the bottle, you have to undo the corkscrew from the cork. And then you set the cork down on the table with the red part of the wine, or the part of the cork that's been touching the wine. You set that facing toward the guest so they can read the label on the cork to make sure it matches with the label on the bottle. Because especially for really, like if you ordered a $3,000 bottle of wine, you want to make for sure that is a real, authentic, like bottle. Not necessarily like an $80 bottle of wine. It's like, okay, who cares? It's wine. But then you pour the guest a taste of the wine who ordered it, and as you pour it, like then you take your like black napkin. Oh, I'm missing so many steps. You're basically supposed to, it's so like you have to like just know how to do it. And then you like wipe the top of the bottle. Once you take the cork off, then you backtrack. You take the cork out. Then you take the serviette and you wipe the top of the wine bottle, because the aluminum, whatever that's on top, that's like within the label, you want to like almost sand it down. So it's not like sharp or anything. You want to make sure it doesn't get into the wine. Once that's good, then you hold the bottle with the label facing the guest and hold the napkin underneath the bottle. Pour them a tiny little bit just so they can taste it. And then you like, as it's over the glass, I always say, there's different ways people do it, but I always hold it with the like towel in this hand and the wine bottle in this hand. And as it's when I'm ready to be done pouring over the glass, I pull the napkin over the front of the bottle so it doesn't drip all over the table. And I hold it up. And as they're trying it, they normally like swirl the wine, make sure it's good. And then as they're trying it, I'm holding the wine bottle to them so they can always see it. They try it. Once they approve it, then you start serving the wine on the other end of the table. So if there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I ordered the wine, they would start with whoever's over here. And then they would go, you, and then I would be the last person to receive the wine.
Okay.
And then after that's done, if it's a white wine, you put it in like a little wine chiller. Like we have like little wine chiller things. If it's a red wine, you don't chill the red wine. You just set it on the table with the napkin around it. And then you're good. That's the whole wine service.
Okay.
Why not chill the red wine?
Because red wine is gets affected easier by the temperature. The flavor of the wine can change so much depending on how cold. I actually had to chill a bottle of red wine the other day because my guest was like, it's too warm. So some people, because it's a very stark difference between it's almost like how like water when it's really, really cold has a different flavor than a water that's warm.
Mhm.
That's the same thing with like red wines. White wine's not as much. I mean, you wouldn't want to have, white wines are always good chilled. Like you wouldn't want to have a white wine that's not chilled.
Yeah.
But red wines are chilled, but not like chilled to the point of red wines. Like or white wines.
Mm-hmm.
Like our red wines are kept on a wine wall that is chilled. They're chilled at like 58 something degrees, but like white wines are normally like really, really cold. Like put them in your refrigerator. But red wines normally just need to sit because the temperature will permanently affect the flavor of it. That's why whenever you hold a like red wine glass or the bottle of a red wine, like I always try to not put my hand anywhere on it because it'll affect the flavor of the wine because your hand is really, really warm. So yeah. So that's wine service.
That got me thinking about something else. So did you guys see the wine that is aged underwater?
No.
Mm-hmm.
There's this wine out in, I think it's Greece or Italy, where they age the wine at the bottom of the sea. And they said that it affects the flavor. Wait, what are your guys' professional thoughts about that?
I would not call myself
Yeah.
That dude just spilled 16 minutes of knowledge and he says he's not knowledgeable.
It's so like, it's just very tedious. So once you learn how to do it, but like where I used to work, we didn't care about that. I didn't because no one really ordered bottles of wine.
Yeah, that's how I am now with where I work at.
We get bottles of wine like every night. Like we have like a lot of bottles that go out, but that's because that's the type of restaurant where you're going to order a bottle. What I think about that, to me, I mean, if it's all the way down at the bottom of the ocean, that's where they age it. It may have an effect on maybe the temperature down below has a certain like effect on the flavor of the wine that's affecting the outside of the bottle along with age. To me, that just sounds like a gimmick because, this wine was aged underwater. That's what that sounds like a way to get someone to buy the bottle of wine. I don't know if that really has any, I could be totally wrong, but I don't know if that really has any effect on, it's more about what the wine is aged in. So if it's aged in its bottle, then fine. But if it's aged in like a cask, like a whiskey cask or an oak cask or whatever, and it like seeps into the wood a little bit and it gets a little bit of that flavor, that to me is more valuable. Like if you sit it in a barrel and age it for 30 years and you just pour, and what's in the bottle is like just got poured into the bottle after sitting in a barrel for 30 years, that to me would be a very, very expensive. Same thing with like whiskey, Scotch, bourbon, all of that. So yeah.
I do have a question that earlier you had mentioned like not all like glasses or not all bottles can be in a glass.
Oh
right?
yeah. All I mean by that is a restaurant will choose for their wine list. They'll choose like, they will choose, can you tell me? Just one second. But like they will choose
to serve the wine
by the glass or by the bottle.
Does it matter? Like they just do
They're
it?
not going to serve like a $8,000 bottle of wine by the glass.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because it's not worth, because then you have to think about like they're thinking about, it's just profit.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's like a bottle of like Pinot Noir that's a screw top Pinot Noir that's like a $50 bottle of wine. Like the people are going to order that pretty frequently. So why a $3,000 bottle of wine would they pour one by the glass and then the next time they sell it is in a year from now? Like, no, it's just more, they know their target. That's all business. They are going to know, okay, like this is the normal amount that people spend on wine. Like this is what we're going to buy the glass. So you can always do a wine by the glass, by the bottle. So like if someone was like, oh, can I do that by the bottle? Like, yeah, sure. But most wines that are by the bottle, you cannot do by the glass.
Okay.
Like that's what I mean by that.
Yeah, it makes sense. It would feel like kind of a waste of.
Yeah,
it would,
because who's going to order like, that's why I'm surprised that the garden room has like a glass of like Dom, which tells me that they're selling it enough where they can put it by the glass, which tells me just how what their clientele is like.
Yeah.
Like if they're constantly rotating, if like Dom Perignon is being sold by the glass frequently, that for $100 a glass, that's insane. Anyways,
that is our podcast for today.
yes,
Thank you
all for
listening.
joining. This was a lot of fun.
And this is Sip Tell ATL. Bye.
Bye.